Yeah. Um, I think right now like as far as like salary goes, I'm not exactly too worried about that. Um, that and my retirement plan, even though like those are obviously very important, those aren't my top priorities as of now, right now in my lifetime.
Mhm. So there's nothing in specific you're willing to cater to in terms of reducing, as I guess is how I'll phrase it. Like if
Like,
you at least important.
like any like
Yeah,
house
which is what is like least important to you?
like as far as what?
Of like the six issues, salary,
Oh,
location, career growth, like
yeah,
each of
my
those.
least important is probably um I would say retirement.
Okay. So you might be able to save some there. And so like how committed would you say you are to staying? Like are you willing to
No, I'm really looking to stay. I like the company a lot. I've been with you guys for a year now, and
Mhm.
it's all been very nice. And I don't want to leave, but um if you guys don't cater to some of my um problems, then I will leave. But as far as like wanting to leave, I do not want to leave at all.
And so like, what do you need to feel committed to staying? Like what's your bottom line?
I think like just catering to my location, I think that's what's gonna be a huge deal breaker for me right now.
Okay. And then what's like your long-term career goal? Like do you want to see a lot of growth in staying with the company or are you really like considering leaving? Like seriously?
Yeah, as far as like long term, I haven't really thought about where I want to be within the company. Obviously,
So I think one of my key strengths in this negotiation was asking questions early on, just to understand the parties' motivations and what they're looking for with this negotiation. Kind of get more information about their outside deal, what's most important to them, what's most valuable in terms of the different benefits to kind of weigh out where can we wiggle room to kind of get them what they want and get what we want and find a compromise. And part of that was just asking opener questions. Mhm. Um, So I think just like one last offer involving San Francisco just to see. Stay in San Francisco, 7% salary raise, keeping the existing promotion timelines, you'll like receive a increasing board like around 6 months, a new promotion. And then a moderate increase in performance bonuses, which is like 60% instead of 50. If any of those like it would sway you to stay in San Francisco. If not, we could discuss other locations in the US that might be closer to that coast. However, I think we aren't really able to cater to you moving outside the country just due to the expenses of working from that distance, as well as the San Francisco office is under. Another two strengths in this negotiation was trying to find some alternative solutions to keep this conversation going instead of outright dismissing the employee's request to move. Uh, since essentially it was a non-negotiable to move from San Francisco, we still try to explore some other options where offering like an increase in pay or more vacation days, like other alternative solutions, and trying to find these different trade-offs. And that's why initially I asked them so many questions about what they found important so that we could find these trade-offs and like actually like give them something else they also value that still works for the company's goal.
oh, okay. So what you're saying is that I like it's very crucial for me to stay in San Francisco or the US itself.
Ideally San Francisco, but if you're willing to take a few cuts in other areas, we could consider staying somewhere in the US.
Hmm.
Or another plan where you work a few weeks in Europe every year, but you still mainly work in the US in San Francisco. One of my mistakes in this negotiation was spending too much time discussing location. Because even though moving from San Francisco is ultimately non-negotiable for the company, instead of clearly stating this early on, I allowed the conversation to linger on that topic and try to find solutions around it. And I wasted time that I could have been spending negotiating areas that actually had flexibility and focusing on things like salary and promotion and the timeline. Moving forward, it can be more direct in establishing these constraints up front to present like unnecessary back and forth. And even though it was an ultimately unproductive conversation, we ultimately did not make a agreement. And so, because I found that my BATNA was good enough to let this employee go. And so I think I also could have pressed harder on their BATNA and like really see.
That is not convenient, and I'm not I'm not too um I'm not a fan of long-term relationships.
Very fair, very fair.
I think things could get messy. Um, so um if I were to stay in San Francisco, which I don't think I'm willing to do that, I would need a lot more.
Um, I think with that, I can't necessarily cater to a spot in Geneva. And if you're dead set on that, I think we have no deal.
I'm not saying I have to live like exactly in Geneva. We could, I mean, I would take like London or Paris or something. That's, I could visit her on the weekends maybe, or take a quick trip there down to Geneva from London or Paris. But um, living in the US would just be very inconvenient for me and my relationship.
I think we have a disagreement with that where we really need an employee to stay in the US. And I think you personally, like your opportunity seems like a great opportunity, and I think you should go for that. And we'll move on to other candidates.
All right. And thank you for your time.
You too. And scene. In regards to the scoring and planning system, in regards to the scoring system and planning, I would say that my scoring was effective in terms of prioritizing the company's main objective, which is keeping the role in San Francisco. Initially, I assigned this 30 points, which helped me avoid making unnecessary concessions in areas that didn't line with the company's needs. And I misjudged the candidates' priorities, particularly in how much they valued relocation over financial incentives. While my system allocated 25 points to that salary increase and bonuses, it became clear that no financial incentive would really outweigh their desire to go move. And I realized this earlier, I might have shortened the negotiation and focused on retaining goodwill and future opportunities rather than working around ultimately what was a disagreement. Um, and I didn't assign enough weight to like the career trajectory concerns, as in like promotion timelines and growth opportunities. Like, the candidate appeared more concerned about long-term flexibility than the immediate financial benefits, which I definitely underestimated. So in future negotiations, I will refine my initial information gathering process to identify true deal breakers earlier on, and actually like, focus on those rather than go with my predetermined little script I had going on, because my notes were based off of the information I had, not previously knowledge of what their needs were. And so I think having to adjust more on my feet would have been better for this situation. And so the key things I learned from this experience was just how like helpful it is to gather information early on, just to understand both party sides and like ultimately like what is the baseline in terms of how far can you get in this negotiation. Definitely could have gotten more to the point that moving from San Francisco was a non-negotiable, especially since I had a good baton of a new employee. Like, granted, it would have been nice to retain the employee. However, ultimately, like, it worked out mutually better that they get to move and then we still have an employee for that San Francisco spot that's necessary. And so ultimately, it worked out to not agree. And so I think other things I learned was that non-negotiable should have been framed positively. Instead of just saying San Francisco is required, it could have been more along the lines of really more so emphasizing that San Francisco is where the best opportunities are for grow. I said that about the general US, like staying was better, but I think like really emphasizing that like San Francisco is a non-negotiable, but in that same positive way, which is kind of like still kept it like a non-negotiable, but like a little less rigid feeling in terms of actually allowing for more conversation.